The explosion that Captain Young Ho Kim created was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't just an explosion. It was the birth of a new piece of reality. Project Dangun detonated at the exact center of the Star Devourer field, and for a moment that lasted forever, space and time simply stopped. Then in a flash of light that could be seen from 1,000 star systems away, a bubble of new space-time expanded outward at impossible speed. The Star Devourers, those artificial black holes that had been consuming entire solar systems, were caught in the expanding bubble of new reality. They didn't just die. They were replaced with empty space that had never known the touch of destruction. Admiral Sangwoo Ryu, commanding the human fleet from the flagship Soul's Vengeance, watched the readings with amazement. "Report!" he shouted over the chaos of alarms and flashing lights. "Sir, the gravitational distortions are gone," his science officer replied. "The Star Devourers have been neutralized, but the new space-time bubble is still expanding. Will it stop?" "Yes, sir. According to Dr. Shin's calculations, it should stabilize at approximately 50 light-years diameter. We've created a pocket of virgin space-time in the middle of the galaxy." Dr. Haewon Shin, the creator of Project Dangun, watched her life's work unfold from the safety of Earth. She had spent 30 years designing a weapon that could create rather than destroy, and now she was seeing it work exactly as planned. "The new region is completely stable," she reported to Supreme Chancellor Min Kyung-yu. "Both human and Velthari survivors can relocate there safely. It's like a fresh start for both civilizations." Chancellor Yu studied the reports with mixed emotions. They had won the war, but the cost had been enormous. Entire star systems on both sides had been lost. Billions were dead. "What about the Velthari?" she asked. "Are they still fighting?" "No, ma'am. We're receiving communication requests from their remaining forces. They want to negotiate." For the first time in months, Yu allowed herself to smile. "Put them through." The holographic image that appeared showed War Prime Thaktar, but he was nothing like the proud conqueror who had begun this war. His crystalline form was cracked and dim, and his thoughts came through the translator with obvious strain. "Humans," he began, and then stopped. For a long moment he seemed unable to continue. "You could have destroyed us completely. You possessed the power to erase our entire species from existence. Instead, you chose to create." Chancellor Yu studied the alien leader. "War Prime, your species attempted to commit genocide against humanity. Why should we show you mercy?" "Because," Thaktar replied slowly, "you have proven something we thought impossible. You have shown that true strength comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to choose not to destroy when destruction is within your power." The translation system struggled with the alien concepts he was trying to convey. "For millions of years, the Velthari have ruled through fear and overwhelming force. We destroyed any species that posed a threat to our dominance. We believed this made us strong, and now we understand that we were not strong. We were merely the bullies. You faced annihilation and responded with innovation. You suffered losses and responded with determination. You achieved total victory and responded with mercy. This is strength we have never witnessed." Admiral Ryu, monitoring the conversation from his flagship, allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Velthari weren't just defeated, they were completely broken, forced to confront the emptiness of their entire civilization. The negotiations that followed were unlike anything in galactic history. The Velthari, who had never shown mercy to anyone, were asking for forgiveness from the species they had tried to exterminate. "We will use our biotechnology to restore the human colonies we destroyed," Thaktar promised. "We will share our knowledge of stellar engineering to help you rebuild. And we will relocate our core population to the new space-time region you created, where we can learn to exist without dominating others." Chancellor Yu consulted with her advisors. General Kang was skeptical. "Chancellor, how do we know they won't just rebuild and attack us again in a few centuries?" Dr. Shin spoke up. "Because they can't. The new space-time region has different physical laws. Their living metal technology won't work the same way there. They'll have to develop entirely new methods of construction and transportation. It will take them thousands of years just to reach our technological level. And in the meantime? In the meantime, we'll be watching them very carefully." 5 years later, Dr. So-Young Park floated in the observation deck of the joint Human-Velthari research station New Harmony. She was the sister of Captain Jae-Sung Park, who had died infiltrating Nexus Prime. and she had volunteered to be part of the first cooperative project between the two species. The research station was built in the new spacetime region, where the laws of physics were subtly different from the rest of the galaxy. Human and Velthari scientists worked together to understand these differences and develop new technologies that neither species could have created alone. Personal log. Dr. So-Young Park. Day 147 of the New Harmony Project. She spoke into her recorder. The Velthari continue to struggle with concepts of individual creativity and personal sacrifice. Today, one of them asked me to explain why my brother chose to die for people he had never met. She paused, looking out at the strange stars of the new region. Some of them glowed with colors that didn't exist in normal spacetime. I tried to explain that humans don't just fight for themselves. We fight for the idea of humanity itself, for the right of all thinking beings to exist freely. I think they're beginning to understand. A Velthari scientist named Morthak approached her workstation. He had spent the last year learning to communicate in individual thoughts, rather than the collective consciousness his species preferred. Dr. Park, he said in careful human speech, I have been studying the historical records of your species' war against us. There is something I do not understand. What's that? You possess the technology to completely destroy us from the beginning. Your ghost fleet could have eliminated every Velthari world within a year. Why did you not do this? So-Young considered the question carefully. Because we're not like you were, Morthak. We don't believe that might makes right. We believe that all intelligent life has value even when that life is trying to destroy us. But we killed billions of your people. Yes. And we killed billions of yours. The difference is that when we won, we chose to stop killing and start building. Your people never learned how to do that. Morthak was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke again. Your species is very strange, Dr. Park. You become more dangerous when threatened, but you become more compassionate when victorious. This seems inefficient, so Young laughed. Maybe. But it's also why we're here working together instead of trying to kill each other. Back on Earth, Admiral Kim stood in the same command center where he had first learned about Project Gwangbok. The walls now displayed peaceful star charts showing trade routes and communication networks instead of battle plans. Admiral, his aide reported, we're receiving the quarterly report from the Velthari resettlement worlds. They're adapting well to their new environment. No signs of military buildup or aggressive behavior. Kim nodded. Good, and our own reconstruction efforts? All 16 destroyed colonies have been rebuilt using Velthari biotechnology. The new worlds are actually more advanced than the originals, Kim smiled. It had taken 5 years, but humanity was finally recovering from the war. More importantly, they had proven something to the galaxy. Humans could be the most dangerous species in existence when threatened, but they were also capable of unprecedented mercy when victorious. The final entry in the official war records was written by Chancellor Yu herself. The Velthari came to our space believing that superior technology and overwhelming force would guarantee their victory. They thought they were hunting primitive prey. Instead, they discovered that they had awakened something far more dangerous than any weapon. Human determination combined with human compassion. They learned that humanity fights not just to survive, but to protect the right of all beings to exist freely. When they threatened to exterminate us, we showed them what extermination really looked like. When they begged for mercy, we showed them what mercy really meant. Today, both species exist in the new region of space-time that human sacrifice created. The Velthari are learning to build instead of destroy. Humanity is learning to trust instead of fear. And the galaxy has learned that the most dangerous species is often the one that chooses when not to be dangerous. They thought we were just another primitive species to be erased. They discovered that humans don't just survive extinction. We make sure everyone else survives too, whether they want our help or not. The war was over. Humanity had won not just through superior firepower, but through superior values. And in a galaxy where might had always made right, that was a revolution more powerful than any weapon. Chancellor Bora Lim stood in the emergency session of Earth's High Council, watching as the holographic display showed 3 human star systems simply vanishing from existence. Not destroyed, not conquered, completely erased from reality as if they had never been. How many people? She asked quietly. 12 million, replied General Kang. The Velthari have activated something they call star devourers. They're artificial black holes that consume entire solar systems. The council chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The war had escalated beyond conventional weapons. The Velthari were now using weapons that could destroy whole star systems, and they didn't seem to care if they killed themselves in the process. Dr. Seung-Hwan Cho, Earth's expert on cosmic-scale weapons, stepped forward with his report. Chancellor, the Star Devourers are spreading. Each one that consumes a star system creates gravitational waves that affect nearby systems. If they activate too many, they could collapse entire sectors of the galaxy. Can we stop them? We have one option, Dr. Cho said grimly. Project Dangun. Chancellor Lim had hoped she would never hear those words. Project Dangun was humanity's ultimate weapon, something so powerful that even creating it was dangerous. Explain it to the Council, she ordered. Dr. Cho activated another holographic display. Project Dangun can create a controlled Big Bang event. Essentially, we would create a new pocket of space-time that would reset local reality. It would neutralize the Star Devourers, but what? The process requires precise timing and positioning. Someone would have to deliver the device to the exact center of the affected region. It's a one-way mission. Meanwhile, 300 light-years away, Captain Jae-Sung Park was preparing for the most dangerous mission in human history. His ship, the Mokpo's Shadow, was humanity's most advanced stealth vessel, designed to infiltrate heavily defended enemy space. Are you sure about this, sir? Asked Lieutenant Colonel Ye Jin-jung, his second-in-command. Intelligence says the Velthari core world has defenses that make their battle fleets look like children's toys. Park checked his equipment one more time. Colonel, they've killed billions of our people. Someone has to get the shutdown codes for those Star Devourers, and we're the only team that can do it. Jung nodded. She had volunteered for this mission knowing it was suicide. Her psychological profile showed complete immunity to fear, which made her perfect for missions that would break normal humans. Besides, Park continued, we're not just trying to stop the Star Devourers. We need to send a message. If we can infiltrate their most protected world, it proves that nowhere is safe from human determination. The Mokpo's Shadow entered Velthari space using dimension-shifting technology that made it exist in several realities at once. To the alien sensors, it was nothing more than a quantum fluctuation in empty space. Nexus Prime, the Velthari core world, was unlike anything in human experience. It was a Dyson sphere that had completely surrounded and consumed its star, powered by the energy of a captive neutron star. The structure was so massive that it generated its own gravity field. My God, whispered Park as they approached. They've been doing this for millions of years. Look at those energy readings. They've consumed hundreds of star systems to build this thing. Jung studied the tactical displays. Sir, I'm reading defense platforms that are each the size of Earth's moon. And there are thousands of them, Park smiled grimly. Good thing we're not planning to fight our way in. The infiltration took 18 hours. Park's team used quantum tunneling to pass through the sphere's walls, avoiding the massive defense systems. Once inside, they found themselves in a nightmare landscape of crystalline structures and energy conduits. The atmosphere is toxic to humans, reported their tech specialist. We have maybe 6 hours before our suits fail. Then we better move fast, Park replied. They fought their way through hordes of Velthari defenders, using weapons specifically designed for close combat against crystalline aliens. Jung led the assault, moving with inhuman efficiency as she carved a path through enemy forces. The control center was at the heart of the sphere, protected by layer after layer of defenses. Park's team was down to 3 members by the time they reached it, and Jung was slowly dying from atmospheric poisoning. Sir, she gasped. I can hold them here. Get to the control center. Park looked at her with respect. Colonel, it's been an honor serving with you. Likewise, sir. Now go save the galaxy. Jung turned to face the approaching Velthari warriors, raising her weapons with a smile. She had never been afraid of dying, only of dying for nothing. This death would save billions of lives. Park reached the control center and began downloading the shutdown codes for the Star Devourers. But as the data flowed into his systems, he discovered something terrible. Shutting down the Star Devourers wouldn't just stop them. It would cause them to collapse into a chain reaction that could tear holes in space-time itself. He transmitted his findings back to Earth, along with the location and specifications for Project Dangun. Then he activated the self-destruct charges on his equipment and prepared to die fighting. On Earth, Chancellor Lim received Park's final transmission with a heavy heart. The captain had succeeded in his mission. But the price was becoming clear. To stop the Star Devourers, humanity would have to risk destroying the galaxy. Dr. Cho, she said, how certain are you that Project Dangun will work? 80%, Chancellor. But there's a 20% chance it could create a cascading effect that destroys everything within 1,000 light years. Lim looked around the council chamber. These were the people who would have to make the decision that could save or doom the galaxy. If we do nothing, the Star Devourers will eventually consume the entire galactic arm. It might take 1,000 years, but the result will be the same. And if we use Project Dangun, we create a new region of space-time where life can flourish again. The Star Devourers are neutralized, but both our civilization and the Velthari would have to rebuild. Lim closed her eyes. When she opened them again, her decision was made. Initiate Project Dangun. Signal Captain Young-Ho Kim to prepare the delivery system. Across the galaxy, War Prime Thaktar was discovering that his desperate gambit had failed. The Star Devourers were spreading out of control, consuming Velthari worlds as well as human ones. His own subordinates were beginning to rebel, realizing that their leader was willing to destroy everything rather than accept defeat. War Prime, Subprime Colten transmitted. The humans have somehow obtained the shutdown codes. They know how to stop the Star Devourers. Impossible. The codes are stored in the most secure location in our empire. Nevertheless, they have them. War Prime, I must speak plainly. Your actions are threatening our entire species. Perhaps it is time to consider negotiation. Thaktar's rage was so intense that it overloaded several ship systems. The humans must be exterminated. I will not allow these primitive creatures to threaten the natural order. But even as he spoke, Thaktar could see the truth in his subordinates' words. The Star Devourers were consuming everything, including his own empire. Soon there would be nothing left to rule. On the human ship Phoenix, Captain Young-Ho Kim made his final preparations. The ship was designed for one purpose: to carry Project Dangun to the exact center of the affected region and detonate it with precise timing. Captain, his navigator said, we're approaching the target coordinates. The gravitational distortions from the Star Devourers are incredible. Kim looked out at the twisted space around them. Reality itself was breaking down as the artificial black holes consumed star after star. All crew to escape pods, he ordered. I'm taking the ship in alone. Sir, the radiation levels will kill you in minutes. Kim smiled. That's why they picked me for this job. Launch pods in 30 seconds. As his crew evacuated, Kim guided the Phoenix toward the center of the chaos. Project Dangun was armed and ready. In a few moments, he would either save the galaxy or destroy it completely. He thought about Captain Park and Colonel Jung, who had died to make this moment possible. He thought about the billions of humans who had been murdered by the Velthari, and he thought about the new universe that might be born from this sacrifice. This is for New Busan, he whispered, and pressed the detonation button. General Eugene Kang stood in the deepest bunker on Earth, 3 kilometers below the surface. The room around her was filled with screens showing star maps, ship designs, and weapon specifications that most humans had never imagined could exist. Show him in, she said to her aide. Admiral Kim entered the room and stopped dead in his tracks. He had expected a small briefing room, not a massive command center that stretched as far as he could see. Hundreds of people worked at stations coordinating something huge. Welcome to Project Gwangbok, Admiral, General Kang said. I suppose you have questions. A few, Kim replied, still staring at the enormous displays. Like, how long has this been going on? 153 years. Ever since we first detected alien signals from the outer galaxy. Kang walked to a large star map. Humanity has never been as peaceful as we pretended to be, Admiral. While we were building colonies and trading posts, we were also building the largest war machine in galactic history. She pressed a button, and the star map changed. It now showed hidden bases scattered throughout space, connected by lines of communication and supply routes that Kim had never known existed. Every colony we built had 2 purposes, Kang continued. The public purpose was farming, mining, or research. The secret purpose was studying alien technology and preparing countermeasures. You mean we've been preparing for this specific war? Not this specific war, but this type of war. A war against a superior alien civilization that thinks it can wipe us out. Kang smiled grimly. We always knew something like the Velthari would show up eventually. She led him to another section of the command center, where Dr. Tae Min Seo was working with a team of scientists. They were studying the sensor data from New Busan. Dr. Co explained to the Admiral what we're dealing with. Dr. Co looked up from his screens. He was a thin man with tired eyes, but when he spoke about his work, he became animated. The Velthari weapons work by manipulating quantum fields, he said. They don't just destroy matter, they convince the universe that the matter never existed in the first place. It's incredibly advanced technology. But you can counter it, Kim asked. Better than that. We can improve on it. Co grinned. You see, Admiral, the Velthari made a mistake. They think like immortal beings who have ruled the galaxy for millions of years. They're not used to enemies who can adapt quickly. SEO brought up a holographic display showing a strange-looking weapon. This is a quantum tunneling torpedo. It doesn't fly toward the target. It exists at the target. The explosion happens inside the enemy ship, bypassing all their shields and armor. Kim stared at the weapon design. How is that possible? We've been working on it for 60 years. We captured some Velthari technology during a raid on one of their scout ships in 2301. Most people thought it was just space pirates. Actually, it was a special forces mission to steal alien tech. General Kang led them to the next section, where Lieutenant Hyarin Nam was testing a new type of fighter aircraft. She was strapped into a chair surrounded by wires and sensors, her eyes closed in concentration. Lieutenant Nam is our test pilot for the Reaper-class fighter, Kang explained. It interfaces directly with the pilot's nervous system. The ship becomes an extension of her body. Kim watched as the young woman moved her hand slightly, and on the screen, a fighter ship performed an impossible turn that should have torn it apart. The Velthari have never faced human pilots before, Kang said. They're used to fighting other hive mind species. They can't predict individual human creativity and aggression. General, Kim said slowly, how big is this fleet you're talking about? Kang smiled and led him to the largest display in the command center. It showed a section of space that appeared empty, but when she entered a code, it lit up with thousands of ship contacts. The Ghost Fleet consists of 800 capital ships and 10,000 fighters, she said. All of them have been waiting in the void for decades, powered down and invisible. The largest ship is the UHFS Incheon, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. It's bigger than anything the Velthari have. Kim felt his jaw drop. This has been out there the whole time. Since before you were born, Admiral, every human pays taxes to support the colonies. Half of those taxes actually go to building and maintaining the Ghost Fleet. Engineer Minho Bay approached them, carrying a tablet. General, the weapon systems are all online. We can begin deployment whenever you give the order. What kind of weapons? Kim asked. Phase cannons that can shoot through different dimensions. Temporal bombs that age enemy ships to death. Neural viruses that drive their ship computers insane. Bay looked pleased with his work. The Velthari have never seen anything like human military creativity. General Kang brought up another display showing the current positions of Velthari forces. They were methodically destroying human colonies, taking their time to make sure everything was completely erased. They think they're being thorough, she said. Actually, they're giving us time to deploy. In 72 hours, the Ghost Fleet will be in position for simultaneous strikes on 17 Velthari staging areas. Simultaneous? Kim asked. All at once. We're going to hit every major concentration of their forces at exactly the same time. They won't know what hit them. Lieutenant Nam finished her test and joined the group. Her face was flushed with excitement. General, the new fighters are incredible, she said. I can think a maneuver and the ship does it instantly. No delay, no mechanical limits. It's like flying with your mind. Good, Kang replied. Because you're going to need every advantage. The Velthari have been the galaxy's top predators for millions of years. But they've never fought humans before. Kim looked around the command center one more time. General, I have to ask, how did we keep this secret for so long? The same way we keep any military secret. Most people don't need to know, so they don't know. The families of the workers think they're employed by mining companies or research stations. The politicians think they're funding normal defense spending. She walked to a window that showed the surface of Earth far above them. But Admiral, here's the thing the Velthari don't understand about humans. When they destroyed our colonies, they didn't make us afraid. They made us angry. And angry humans are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. A communications officer approached them. General, we're receiving reports that 6 more colonies have been destroyed. The Velthari are accelerating their schedule. Kang nodded calmly. Then so are we. Ordered the Ghost Fleet to move to attack positions. In 48 hours, we show the Velthari what happens when you try to exterminate humanity. Admiral Kim felt a chill run down his spine. He had served in the military for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The scale of the preparation, the advanced technology, the cold determination in everyone's eyes. "General," he said, "the Velthari think they're hunting prey." "Yes," Kang replied with a smile that was all teeth. "They're about to learn they're wrong." War Prime Thaktar floated in the crystal chamber at the heart of his flagship, studying the latest reports from his invasion fleet. The humans were behaving exactly as expected. Their colonies were being erased systematically, and their primitive ships had fled whenever they encountered Velthari forces. "This species lacks honor," he communicated to his subordinates through the ship's neural network. "They run instead of fighting. They will be easy to exterminate." His thoughts were interrupted by an urgent message from Fleet Commander Zorhan. "War Prime, we have lost contact with Staging Area 7. Thaktar's crystalline form shifted with annoyance. "Equipment failure?" "Unknown." The entire fleet simply stopped transmitting. 17 dreadnoughts and their support vessels. Before Thaktar could respond, more messages flooded in. Staging areas across the galaxy were going silent, one after another. Within an hour, they had lost contact with over 200 ships. "This is impossible," Thaktar declared. "The humans have no fleet capable of such destruction." He was wrong. 300 light-years away, Fleet Admiral Subin O stood on the bridge of the stealth destroyer Guangzhou's Revenge, watching as the last Velthari ship in Staging Area 12 exploded. The alien vessel tried to regenerate the damage, but the quantum torpedoes had erased its core from existence. There was nothing left to regenerate from. "Target destroyed," reported her weapons officer. "No survivors. Excellent. Signal the rest of the fleet. Move to the next target." The Ghost Fleet was performing exactly as designed. Human ships appeared out of phase space, fired their weapons, and vanished before the Velthari could respond. The aliens' massive size advantage meant nothing when they couldn't see their attackers coming. Lieutenant Hai Rin, Nam led a squadron of Reaper fighters through the wreckage of what had been Staging Area 9. Her fighter's neural interface let her feel the destruction around her, and she smiled grimly. Her younger brother had died on New Busan. Each dead Velthari ship was a small payment on that debt. "Nam to all fighters," she transmitted. "Remember, we're not just killing ships. We're killing the bastards who thought they could wipe us out. Make every shot count." Her fighters swarmed around a damaged Velthari cruiser. The alien ship tried to regenerate, but the human weapons were designed specifically to prevent that. Instead of healing, the ship began to age rapidly, as temporal bombs detonated throughout its hull. Back on his flagship, War Prime Thaktar was struggling to understand what was happening. The reports made no sense. Human ships that could exist in multiple dimensions at once. Weapons that attacked the past instead of the present. Fighters that moved like living creatures instead of machines. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our intelligence report said they were barely capable of interstellar flight." His intelligence officer, Sub-Prime Colton, shared the data they had gathered. "War Prime, it appears the humans have been deceiving us. Their public technology is primitive, but they possess advanced military systems we have never encountered." Thaktar studied the data with growing alarm. These weren't just advanced weapons. They were weapons specifically designed to counter Velthari technology. The humans had been studying his people and preparing for this war. Meanwhile, Master Sergeant Wansik Han was leading a boarding assault on a disabled Velthari command ship. His team wore power armor that enhanced their natural strength and speed, and they moved through the alien vessel like a plague. The Velthari warriors they encountered were individually powerful, but they had never faced human close combat tactics. Sergeant Han fought with a combination of military training and pure fury, using knives and explosives to tear through crystalline aliens who had only known victory for millions of years. "Remember," he told his team over the comm, "these things think they're gods. Show them they bleed like everything else." The boarding action was brutal and one-sided. The Velthari were used to fighting at long range with their advanced weapons. They had no experience with enemies who enjoyed getting close enough to look them in the eye while killing them. Dr. Yoonji Kim watched the boarding action from the command ship. Studying the psychology of their enemies, she had spent years analyzing captured Velthari technology and communications, and she understood their weakness. "They're a hive mind species," she explained to Admiral O. "They think as a collective. They can't predict individual human behavior because they don't understand individuality. How do we use that?" By being unpredictable. Every time they think they understand our tactics, we change them. They'll never be able to adapt fast enough. Admiral O smiled. I like it. Signal the fleet. From now on, every attack uses different tactics. Keep them guessing. War Prime Thaktar was discovering the truth of Dr. Kim's analysis. Every time his forces developed a counter to human tactics, the humans changed their approach. They fought like a swarm of individual predators rather than a coordinated force, making them impossible to predict or counter. War Prime, Subprime Colton reported. We have lost 60% of our staging areas. The humans are destroying our forces faster than we can deploy reinforcements. Thaktar felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Not just concern or caution, but genuine terror. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were winning. How many ships do they have? He demanded, unknown. Their vessels appear and disappear without warning. They could have hundreds or thousands. We cannot get an accurate count. The truth was even worse than Thaktar imagined. The humans didn't just have a large fleet. They had a fleet specifically designed to kill Velthari. Every weapon, every tactic, every ship system had been built with one purpose: the complete destruction of his empire. Fleet Admiral O received reports from across the galaxy. The simultaneous attacks had been a complete success. The Velthari had lost over half their invasion force in a single day, and they were in complete disarray. Admiral, her communications officer reported, we're intercepting Velthari transmissions. They're trying to retreat to their core worlds. Let them run, O replied. We know where they're going. She was right. Humanity's intelligence network had been tracking Velthari movements for decades. There was nowhere for them to hide. War Prime Thaktar made the decision to withdraw his remaining forces. The humans had proven to be far more dangerous than anticipated. He would regroup at the core worlds and develop new strategies, but as his fleet began to retreat, he received the most terrifying message of his long life. A transmission from a human ship, sent in perfect Velthari language. This is Fleet Admiral Subin O of the Human Ghost Fleet. You came to our space to exterminate us. You killed our families and destroyed our worlds. Now you're going to learn what it means to be hunted. We know where you live. We know where you're going. And we're coming for you. Thaktar realized with growing horror that the humans had been tracking them through dimensions he didn't even know existed. His fleet wasn't retreating to safety. They were being herded exactly where the humans wanted them to go. For the first time in millions of years, the Velthari Empire was running in fear. And for the first time in human history, humanity was the galaxy's apex predator. The hunters had become the hunted. Captain Dong-Hyun Lee stared at his ship's scanner in disbelief. The readings made no sense. New Busan should be a bright blue dot on his screen, full of life and bustling with 3 million colonists. Instead, he saw nothing but empty space where the planet should be. Run the scan again, he told his crew aboard the cargo ship Daejeon's Pride. They were bringing supplies to New Busan, just like they had done 50 times before. This was supposed to be a routine trip. His communications officer, a young woman named Ji-un, looked up with wide eyes. Captain, I'm getting strange readings. There's debris everywhere. And, sir, there are huge ships in the system. Dong-Hyun felt his stomach drop. He had been flying cargo runs for 15 years and had never seen anything like this. Put it on the main screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Where New Busan used to orbit, there was only a ring of glowing rocks. The planet was gone. Completely gone. And floating in space were massive ships unlike anything human technology could build. They looked like they were made of living metal, shifting and changing shape as he watched. Those ships are bigger than our space stations, whispered his engineer, Minho. Each one must be the size of a small moon. The alien ships had a terrible beauty to them. They glowed with purple light and seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. Dong-Hyun had never seen a Velthari ship before, but he knew immediately what they were. Stories of the crystal aliens had been told in bars across human space for years, but most people thought they were just myths. Captain, I'm picking up a message, Ji-un said. Her voice was shaking. It's from the colony, but it's old, from 3 days ago. Play it. The voice that came through the speakers belonged to Dr. So-Young Park, the chief scientist on New Busan. Dong-Hyun had met her before. She was a kind woman who always asked about his family. This is New Busan colony to any human ships. We are under attack. I repeat, we are under attack. Unknown alien vessels appeared without warning and began firing on the planet. They're not trying to invade. They're trying to kill everything. The weapons they're using, they don't just destroy things. They make them disappear completely. Like they never existed at all. If anyone receives this message, stay away. Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them the crystal ships are real. Tell them they said humanity has 1 year to leave the galaxy, or they will erase every human world. Tell them we're sorry we couldn't. The message cut off. Donghyun stared at the empty space where New Busan had been. 3 million people, families, children, all gone in 3 days, and no one had even known it was happening. Captain, Minho said quietly, we need to leave. Now. If those ships detect us. Already on it, Donghyun replied. He was turning the ship around when his scanner lit up with new contacts. More alien ships were appearing, coming out of some kind of portal in space. They see us, Jiyeon whispered. The nearest alien ship was turning toward them. It was so big that it blocked out the stars behind it. Purple energy was building up along its hull. Full power to engines, Donghyun ordered. Emergency jump to Earth. Now. The Daejeon's Pride shot forward just as purple beams of light cut through the space where they had been. But Donghyun's old cargo ship was fast and they had gotten lucky. The aliens seemed more interested in finishing their work than chasing one small human vessel. The jump to Earth took 2 days. 2 days of sitting in the dark between stars, wondering if they were the only humans left alive. When they finally arrived at Earth, Donghyun immediately called Admiral Hyunwoo Kim of the Colonial Defense Force. Admiral Kim listened to the report without saying a word. His face grew harder with each detail. When Donghyun finished, Kim was quiet for a long moment. You're certain the planet was completely destroyed? Kim asked. Not destroyed, sir. Gone. Like it was never there. Kim nodded slowly. Captain Lee, I need you to turn over all your sensor data to my intelligence officer, Commander Jinna Choi. Everything you recorded. Of course, sir. But Admiral, what are we going to do? Those ships, they're impossible. They're bigger than anything we have. And their weapons, leave that to us, Captain. An hour later, Commander Choi was studying the data with a team of scientists. The readings confirmed their worst fears. The Velthari had weapons that could erase matter at the atomic level. Not just destroy it, but remove it from reality completely. Sir, Choi said to Admiral Kim, we're receiving reports from other colonies. 12 more have gone silent in the past day. Kim closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there was something cold and dangerous in them. Commander, I need you to send a message to Earth Command. Tell them to activate Project Gwangbok. Choi's face went pale. She had heard rumors about Project Gwangbok, but she thought it was just a story. Sir, are you sure? The Velthari think they can wipe out humanity like we're some primitive species that just learned to use fire, Kim said. They're about to learn they made a serious mistake. Within hours, secret messages were being sent to hidden bases across human space. Deep in the void between stars, massive ships that had been waiting in darkness for over a century began to power up. On Earth, scientists who had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment started their final calculations. The Velthari had destroyed 16 human colonies in 4 days. They thought they were dealing with a weak species that would beg for mercy. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this war for 150 years. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Kim looked out at Earth's orbital shipyards. They were building ships faster than ever before, but these were just the visible ones. The real fleet was already out there waiting in the dark. How long until the Ghost Fleet is ready? He asked his aide. 2 weeks, sir. Kim smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Good. Let's show these crystal bastards what happens when you mess with the human race.